CelebRoomSecrets. And these 7 moments, the first day on set. Jaafar Jackson's first day of principal photography was not a quiet rehearsal scene or a closed interior. It was a stadium concert sequence. 400 extras, a full live band on stage, like being there, like watching a real Michael Jackson concert. The extras were not acting, they were reacting. Fuqua added that they had 6 cameras already positioned in the audience. Then he looked at producer Graham King and said they needed more coverage because they were seeing people way in the back screaming and crying, and they could not capture it fast enough. 2 more cameras were added mid-scene. 2 more cameras added mid-scene on the first day because the reaction in the back rows was too real to miss, and there were not enough lenses pointed at it. When they were Fuqua described it as so real and organic that he found himself stopping and asking his crew to go grab specific reactions happening in different parts of the stadium simultaneously. That is not a controlled film set. That is a direct on stage. And here is where it gets genuinely strange. Moment 2. The mirror. Jaafar described a specific point in his preparation when something shifted. He said he kept telling himself he was not going to stop dancing on any given move until he got it right, until he felt the emotion behind it. And then he said the specific thing he was waiting for, until he could fool himself in the mirror. Not fool the director, not fool the choreographers, fool himself. He said it was very difficult at the start, and as months went on, it was still a tremendous challenge. But he kept telling himself he was not going to stop. If it was a certain move, he was not going to stop doing it until he got it right, until he felt the emotion behind it, until he could fool himself in the mirror. Think about what that standard actually requires. The mirror does not want to be impressed. The mirror does not have professional courtesy. The mirror shows you exactly what is there. And if what is there is an impression of someone else, the person looking into it knows immediately. Jaafar was not done with a move until the person in the mirror looked like he was not doing an impression. Until the person in the mirror looked like Michael Jackson existing, not Michael Jackson being performed. He said it took years before he truly felt connected to the movement and emotion behind the performances. Once he got an inkling of that, he felt very excited to share it with Antoine and Graham when he arrived on set. Years, not weeks, not months, years before the mirror finally agreed. Moment 3. The bedroom. After Jaafar was cast, he did something that no acting coach assigned and no production schedule required. He began sleeping there. The specific choice to sleep in a room where Michael Jackson had lived, to wake up in that space, to rehearse in it, tells you something about the methodology that is more specific than any interview quote. Most actors learn a role from the outside in. They study footage. They work with coaches. They build toward the character from a position of separation. Jaafar eliminated the separation at night. He slept in the room. Whatever is absorbed in that specific quality of quiet, the smell of a space, the light through the windows at a particular hour, the specific silence of a house where someone important once lived, he wanted that too. Not just the dance moves, not just the vocal placement, the atmosphere of the person. He was also fortunate, as he described it, to have access to some of Michael's personal writings, which allowed him to get even closer. The bedroom and the journals together, the physical space and the interior world. Moment 4. The man in the mirror sequence. The ultimate test came during the man in the mirror sequence. Jaafar was caught off guard when Fuqua suddenly cut the music. He kept singing live, hitting the high, no backing track, no safety net. High notes for 3 minutes in a silent studio, while a crew that had seen everything stood around him and said nothing because there was nothing to say. For Jaafar, it was as if he had tapped into what he described as a cellular memory. Cellular memory. That phrase is unusual enough to sit with. It is not a technical term from acting training. It is the language a person uses when they cannot explain what happened through normal cause and effect. When the body did something that the conscious mind did not plan because something deeper had taken over. The crew was stunned. Not impressed. Stunned. There is a difference. And the people who have worked on enough productions to know the difference between a good take and something else entirely were the ones standing in that room. Moment 5. The voice. Jaafar's own voice sits lower than his Uncle Michael's. Wanting to avoid lip syncing, he studied breath placement and diaphragm control to master the physics of Michael's voice. The physics, not the sound. The physics, the specific mechanical relationship between breath and diaphragm and vocal cord placement that produces a particular quality of tone. Jaafar was not trying to imitate what Michael's voice sounded like. He was trying to understand how Michael's voice was physically produced so that when he reproduced it, the reproduction came from the same physical mechanism rather than from an approximation of its output. He wanted to set goals for himself, to nail the mannerisms, the vocal, just his essence, and how he went about things in a conversational way. But he also wanted to make sure he had everything in a balanced way. He did not want the dancing to outdo the acting, or the acting to outdo the dancing. He wanted to really embody Michael completely, and do it in a way where it felt natural. That balance between dancing and acting, between voice and movement, between the technical and the human, is what the man in the mirror crew reaction was actually about. Not a single element performed at a high level. All of them simultaneously, in balance, as though they had never been separate things. The crew did not react because Jaafar hit the notes. They reacted because hitting the notes and moving the way Michael moved and existing in that space the way Michael existed in it were all happening at the same time, naturally, without visible effort. Moment 6. The family. Members of the Jackson family, including Tito, Jackie, and Marlon Jackson, praised Jaafar's portrayal. Marlon described the performance as more than imitation, saying that Jaafar truly became Michael. Jackie revealed that the family was moved to tears when they first saw his performance. Tito shared that it felt as if they were watching their brother again. Tito Jackson said it felt as if they were watching their brother again. Not their nephew performing their brother. Their brother, present, in the room, doing what their brother did. These are not audience members encountering Michael Jackson's legacy for the first time. These are the people who grew up with him, who rehearsed with him as children, who performed alongside him, who watched him become what he became from the position of siblings who were there before any of it started. When Tito Jackson says it felt like watching his brother, he is not using a promotional quote. He is describing a specific perceptual experience that he has very particular authority to describe. The family had every reason to be protective, skeptical, and guarded about this film. Several of them expressed concern at various points during production. And then they saw it, and they were moved to tears, and they said it felt like him. That reaction from those specific people is not a marketing endorsement. It is testimony. Moment 7. The loafers. This one requires a specific kind of attention because it is the smallest moment on the list and the one that says the most about what the preparation actually looked like from the inside. Jaafar noted during his interview magazine conversation that the loafers Michael wore, the ones required for the toe stand, the moonwalk, the specific mechanics of his signature moves, had no rubber at the bottom for traction. The bottom needed to be smooth. And finding a pair that matched those specifications was not straightforward. After the film wrapped, after the premiere, after the box office records and the family reactions, and the director adding cameras mid-scene, because 400 strangers were screaming, Jaafar Jackson was still trying to find the right pair of loafers. Not because he needed them for anything, because the specific mechanical feeling of the right shoes on the right floor had become part of how he understood what he had been doing for 6 years. The shoes mattered. The smoothness of the sole mattered. The absence of rubber on the bottom, which makes the move possible, mattered in a way that went beyond filming requirements. That is the detail that separates someone who played Michael Jackson for a film from someone who spent 6 years trying to understand what it actually felt like to be Michael Jackson performing. One of them finishes when the cameras stop. The other one is still looking for the right shoes. 7 moments. A stadium that started screaming before anyone said action. A mirror that took years to agree. A bedroom at Hayvenhurst where preparation continued through the night. A crew left stunned by 3 minutes of live singing after the music cut. A voice rebuilt from its physical mechanics upward. A family moved to tears by the presence of someone they had lost. And a pair of loafers still being searched for after everything else was done. Taken together, these 7 moments tell you something that the box office numbers and the critical reception cannot. They tell you what it looked like when the preparation worked, not in the finished film, but in the rooms before the cameras were ready, with the people who were not supposed to be surprised and were anyway. If this story has changed how you understand what Jaafar Jackson actually built over 6 years, there's a next layer to this that goes somewhere specific. What Michael Jackson's own son said about watching this performance, and what it revealed about the gap between archive footage and the experience of watching someone embody a person you lost, is exactly where this story continues.